Hey everybody, Callus here, back by popular demand to help narrate some of the round of 32 matches here in ADV Revival. Okay, first thing to get off the chest. I may sound a little different than I usually do. As you may have noticed, I did in fact purchase a microphone, treated myself Black Friday. I don't think there's anything wrong with my 10-year-old Logitech headset, but if you guys prefer this as opposed to the old in the cockpit style, let me know. Hopefully I sound crisp and clear and you guys enjoy these recordings just as much as the old school stuff. As far as this match, let's just take a moment with player introductions here. Let's kind of get the elephant in the room out of the way. So, Segale is the more controversial of the two players. He is permabanned from Smogon because it is suspected, not completely confirmed, and he denies it, but it is suspected that he is an alt of a player called Foggy, who is also permabanned. As far as Foggy himself, I remember him a little bit back in the day. We weren't friends, we weren't enemies, just kind of someone that I knew in passing. A talented player, but someone who had a bit of a spicy temper, wasn't the greatest loser, whatever. I don't know, one way or another, if Segale is or is not Foggy, but I agree with the decision by ADV Revival and their staff to allow him to play. I've always, on a case-by-case basis, allowed banned users to participate in my tournaments as long as what they're banned for isn't something completely over the top, something illegal or inexcusable or completely non-defendable. As long as they're not causing problems and they're not the slimiest of the slime, I allow them to play. Segale is someone that I had on my Mushi League team a while back. He's only been in the competitive scene for somewhere between a year and 2 years, and he was really promising there. He's the kind of teammate that you want to have. He cares about winning and studies and puts in the effort and really rapidly improved and has continued since then to rapidly improve. I think he's a strong player and the kind of guy that you want on your team or in your tournament. So he also does still have the doesn't love to lose spicy temperament every now and again, but I like Segale. I've advocated for Segale, so I agree with the decision to let him play, and I'm glad to see him in action here. Now, Fear, on the other hand, you guys might be more familiar with him. Longtime SPL staple, usually in GSC, as he's probably better known for, but he's been around for a long time. Old player, predates me, if you can believe that, and actually, I just did a pretty in-depth interview with him over on my channel. This is going to be the only time that I shamelessly self-promote, youtube.com/CallusNarrates. I just concluded the Callus ADV Legends series, in which I talked to a number of players, including Fear, usually over an hour, and really got into the weeds. And we had a great conversation. He's been playing ADV for a long time. So I really like both of these guys, and I'm excited for this match. With all that intro stuff out of the way, enjoy the crisp, smooth sounds of Callus with a microphone as we begin this best of 3 set for the round of 32. So Segale is on the bottom with a Zapdos, T-Tar on the other side for Fear. That is generally a Tar-favored matchup, and the fact that Segale is willing to stay in and Thunderbolt there means that he basically guaranteed has a Dugtrio in the back, and he's just trying to trade in that way. Fear, though, even though he's not CB locked, has gone for double EQ, and he's not a donkey for doing that. What he's trying to catch there, I'm not saying I love the play, but the reason that he's doing that, he didn't forget that Zapdos is EQ immune. He's just anticipating something like a bulky water coming in, a Swampert, a Milotic, whatever, and he's trying to catch that with the EQ on the way in. So instead, the Skarm comes in on a double, but not the double that he wants, doesn't manage to get a lair down, and then Swampert finds himself hit with Toxic, so it's not a fantastic start in this game for Fear, but it's still early enough, of course, to where a million things can happen. We'll do an item check for Segale. He's not gaining lefties, so could be looking at a Lumberry, especially now that we know that it's a Dragon Dance set. Could be like a random Leechy or something. That is an unlucky miss, though. And I'm surprised that he stayed in and went for counter. I mean, how do you counter when the Meteor Mash just kills you? So I don't really understand that play from either one. Regardless, we're going to get a trade here with the... I mean, we knew the Dugtrio was going to be there because of the opening Zapdos turn. but it is a revenge kill with the Dugtrio. The counter for Segale there was really weird there because he's never living Mash. I don't know if he thought that maybe Fear was going to go for EQ or something out of fear of missing Mash, but that was a strange counter in my opinion. Also, DD counter, bit of a head scratcher. Not a set that I know that I'm super into, but maybe. I'm open-minded. Skarm probably can't get a lair down here either. Can't really let the Coon sit there and continue to boost. Yeah, just gotta roar it out immediately. There we go. That's something you can spike on. He should get a lair down on the Dugtrio at very least, and he does. Zapdos, poison from before, is going to come in here. Threatening T-Bolt, of course, but we know there's a Bliss on the other side. It's not mindless to go to Bliss, though, because you've got to be careful. Segale could Baton Pass to the Dugtrio on the Bliss come in, which is not a good outcome. It is just Thunderbolt, though, and a 10% power. A little bit unlucky for Fear, but not a huge deal. We'll see if he risks it here and goes for Soft Boiled. Again, the Dugtrio threat in the back, and he's not comfortable with it. He's going to go to Swampert, and that might be a good thing, because imagine he stays in there in full powers, and now Dugtrio comes in on that Baton Pass. So Fear with a disciplined play there to not go for it when a lot of players would have. Awkward, though, to be subbing down when you're already poisoned, but I mean, what are you going to do? Your Endeavorpert only has a little bit of purpose in this matchup at this point. Now that it's been poisoned, you just got to do what you got to do with it and then get out of there. Blissey comes in at this point, takes an IB. Should be safe from anything other than a Hydro Pump, and even then it might be a roll. And it does a lot, 28%, but crucially, Blissey survives and gets a Soft Boiled off and will almost certainly go for another one on this turn. And there it is, Bliss up to a hundo in what is a 5-5 game, and they both have an unrevealed in the back. Skarm coming in on Doll, Rapid Spin, sure. Lefties there, back up to 72%. Very well may reestablish a lair, and that is what happens. Additional lefties are gained. Zapdos getting low for Segale. 38%, still poison from before, and of course Fear is going to milk that poison by clicking Protect here. And he's got the one lair down, so after a weird start and a couple of weird earthquakes for Fear, I think he has largely stabilized, and it is a pretty good place, I think, in this game. I mean, Suicune's at 43, and obviously doesn't have rest, as we can see. Zapdos is at 1% in poison, and it dies here. Dugtrio not a win condition, Claydol not a win condition. There you go, there's your win condition. If you're going to win from Segale's seat, this is how you're going to do it. Here comes the Jirachi, immediately CMing up. Skarm is going to be threatened one way or another, whether it's T-Bolt or Fire Punch or whatever the case may be. It does have Thunderbolt, as we see here. Protect for lefties, brace for impact, 71% and para there. 20% power rather than 10, thanks to Serene Grace, but still, lucky for Segale. Suicune here, not really a threat given the Blissey on the other side. It threatens the Skarm, of course, but the Blissey really keeps it in check. Though again, as has been an issue throughout the game, the potential Dugtrio follow-up is a very real consideration here. Thunderbolt takes it out, and he actually does not go to the Dugtrio. It's straight to the Jirachi. He views CMing up and getting there with the Jirachi as his only realistic way to win, and he's probably correct. And it's not inconceivable here. The question is, what is the last for Fear? But if it's just something like a Gengar or a Starmie, those kind of things that are very standard on this kind of generic Big 5 TSS team, if it is just something like that, then the Jirachi's got a shot here. But of course, if it's something like Aerodactyl, then this is going to be a lot harder. So it is Gengar here, and Hidden Power is what it wants to come in on. HP Grass, of course. But does Gar have Boom? Does Gar have Fire Punch? Answer is yes, it does have Fire Punch. It just needs to not be crit or paralyzed from Thunderbolt here, which it manages to do. And now we've got a damage roll. Last one did 26. This one does 27. That should suffice. That leaves Segale with only Claydol and Dugtrio. Shadow Ball there aimed at the Gar. Obviously not good against the Cheetar. Just 8%. EQ will suffice, though. It is faster. Now Swampert going to be the follow-up. It'll eat that Salic Berry and, of course, be faster than the Doll. That is a max special attack Torrent range Surf to take out the Doll. And now, I don't know what move Dugtrio clicks to kill both the Blissey and the Gengar, but apparently it is Aerial Ace, and I don't think that will be enough. Looks to me like Fear is going to take this game one. Going to click Soft Boil to be safe. but I don't think Dugtrio can get there. Maybe if it had been Rock Slide rather than Aerial Ace, and even then some luck, some flinches would have been required. As it sits, Aerial Ace has no chance to get it done, and Game 1 belongs to Fear. We'll switch over to Game 2. Real quick reminder, guys, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and support ADV Revival, or just Revival tournaments in general. These guys put a lot of time and effort, particularly Gold and Jim, into making these tournaments a reality. If you guys have been enjoying them, and I know they have a big following, one of the best ways to support them, other than donating, of course, please consider that as well, is to hit the like and subscribe button. Doesn't cost you any money, doesn't take a lot of time. Go ahead and click it now, and let's get into the next game. So, players maintaining the positions they were in, Segale and Dugtrio, and the moment that I see the Dugtrio lead, I instantly think it is probably just the ABR team that he used so well. Most of the audience knows it because you guys watched the tournament as it happened, but he used it very successfully. He lost once, but more wins than losses in the Gymvitational Tour, including in crucial late matches against Bihi. And right now, it's very much looking like that team. Maybe he messed with a Pokemon or maybe a move or two, but it's looking like the exact same damn team from Fear. Fori is favored there to survive the HP Fire. It's like 75-25 that the Fori lives. Indeed, he does live, and he gets a second Spike down, but I'm very surprised there that he does not choose to follow up with the Dugtrio and kill the Magneton. The only reason, other than a misplay that I can think of, why he wouldn't do that is because he knows that if he goes for Dugtrio, EQs and kills the Magneton, that it lets the CB Ments on the other side get in for free, and he might feel that he does not have a fantastic switch into that. And indeed, if it is the ABR team, let's not miss that crucial boom, by the way, but if it is the ABR team, that means that the last Pokemon for Fear is Claydol, meaning this team does not have a proper flying resistance anywhere, so it is very dangerous to allow the Ments to come in and just click CB HP Flying, because really, truly, Fear does not have a damn thing that wants to switch into that, and that is one of the flaws of the team. That might be what we're seeing here, and that's a very heads-up play for Fear, if that was his thought process. The vast majority of players, even competitive players, in my opinion, would have just mindlessly gone to the Dugtrio to kill the Magneton there and not considered what the follow-up would be and what game state that would leave him in. Nice switch there for Fear to get the Suicune in and get something off. And it's a pretty big something, actually. It's Rest, which is huge. It gets Fear a little bit back in the game, but the bigger picture issue here remains what switches into the CB Ments any damn time that thing comes in. Now, Heal Bell does wake him up, so like I said, that Rest was huge. That Coon is completely back to normal and rejuvenated, and it's a sandless game. So the Suicune, the Lax, the Blissey, everything alive for Fear. It's all a lot bulkier than it otherwise would be. But I mean, there's also a Suicune and a Lax on the other side, so it's not like it doesn't benefit Segale. Segale is clearly ahead in this game right now, 5-3, and like I said, just the unsolvable issue of the CB Ments. In this case, the Blissey, of course, would be willing to take an attack and then either Ice Beam or T-Wave back, but long term, I really don't know how Fear deals with the CB Ments. He's going to have to really, really play perfectly. I don't know if he's going to crit it or paralyze it or switch around it with mind-reading powers, but it's going to require something like that. Look at this. 34% on that hidden power, and a +1 Surf from a slower Mon is only doing 24 and then 27 back. And there's a crit. I was just about to say that Fear could get him here by living and then critting him, but unluckily it's actually going to be Segale getting the crit, so now Fear is probably really in trouble. He's going to need to win with the Slacks. And here comes Doll intending to blow up on it. Again, an opportunity right there for Fear to find a crit that would have helped him, but no dice, and there is Boom. And here is the Ments follow-up, and what do you do now if you're Fear? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's not even hidden power anymore, it's just Brick Break into the double normal. 75%. T-Wave, because why not? Just going to go for the attack, though. Kind of surprised. I mean, I don't think it mattered at this point, but I guess technically there you're just supposed to soft-boiled and pray for 1,000,000 full powers, and then maybe if the Blissey's at 100% when it kills the Mence, maybe. But yeah, the Blissey didn't even have Ice Beam, so freezing things wasn't even a possibility there. Yeah, I don't think it matters. I'm trying to think of this like any scenario where he could have T-Wave stuff down and just gotten 1,000,000 powers and gotten there with Bliss, but I believe the answer is no, he could not have. That was going to be a Segale win either way, so I think doing it like this, we've simply sped up the process. And that, of course, since you saw Game 1, that means we're in a 1-1 situation, and we're going to Game 3, which is going to determine, because I think you guys know how the bracket works, but let's just real quick. So there's 32 players who made it to the bracket stage of this tournament. Not sure exactly how many started out. I think Zach Peasy told me it was something in the vicinity of 400. I don't know if that's hyperbole, if it really was 400, which is a ridiculous amount. But there's only 32 remaining, and we're now in a single elimination bracket stage. So whoever wins this next match is going to continue on into the round of 16, but the other player, despite a great run to get here in the first place, will be eliminated from the tournament. Alright, Game 3. Winner go home. It is Segale and Fear one more time. Let's get into it. There's Segale on the bottom with Zapdos, and there is Yama on top. And again, going to stay in T-Bolt. Okay, that T-Bolt and that Rock Slide both did a lot of damage, so we might be looking at an offensive Zapdos, an offensive Yama, or both. Either way, Yama barely gets the better end of the exchange. However, Sand is going to make it a clean trade. The only advantage is Fear gets to pick what he switches into that T-Tar, and that ends up being Salamence. So we're looking at a non-CB Brick Break. Could be DD Brick Break, that does exist, but more likely it is a mixed Mence from Fear. Suicune comes in against Celebi, don't know what it has, but he's going to take 63% from Ice Beam. That is pretty dangerous. Does get a Leech Seed off, but very much in danger from dying to another Ice Beam. Is going to definitely have to get out of the way here. And of course, Segale was never going to let him get a Recover or a Giga Drain there for free. Does go for Ice Beam and meets the Starmie on the other side. T-Wave in full power, not clear what he went for there. Could have been another CM, could have been HP Electric, could have just been Rest, but we'll never know because full power kicks in. Now Celebi returns, and a snipe from Segale. Perfect Ice Beam there. Very tempting for a lot of players, like I said, to CM again, to Rest, to HP Electric. None of that would have sufficed, but the Ice Beam there, the perfect move, and down goes the Celebi. Revenge kill on the Suicune leaves us in a 4-4 game. Heracross going to dance up, and we see by the sand, actually, the Heracross is faster here, unusually, and I don't know if Fear missed that or felt like he didn't have a great answer, but not a good exchange. Rock Slide there and Flamethrower. Heracross here going to get the better end unless he misses, which Brick Break, of course, cannot miss. And it turns out Fear doesn't really have a good switch into what I assume is a jolly Heracross here. Gonna try to stall it out now with Jirachi. +1 Mega Horns coming at him. Unluckily, Fear is going to miss, and that's gonna really, and by Fear missing, I mean Segale misses, and that is gonna give Fear a window back into this game that he maybe shouldn't have had. Dragon Dance coming down there. Only at +1 speed, however, because of the Intimidate. Rock Slide is gonna get him. 3-3 is a lot closer than it needed to be. Like I said, that Heracross looked like it was going to wreck him. But there is DD, +1, +2. Starmie maybe can survive. Yeah, just EQ will suffice, so maybe he had to go for Rock Slide there and fish for a flinch. But okay, that makes sense. He didn't want to miss Rock Slide because he knew that he had a Dugtrio follow-up. Not really a good switch into CB-EQ at this point. Both the alive pokes are vulnerable to it. But the T-Tar tanks it and kills the Dougie, and now it is only Jirachi for Segale. Feels like deja vu. Hidden Power Grass there aimed at T-Tar. See if either of these guys have Calm Mind. Turns out Segale does. Uh-oh, but Fear might not. If it's CM Rachi against non-CM Rachi, this could go real bad. And that looks to be the case. Body Slam is going to come nowhere close to popping that substitute. And just like that, despite the fact that Fear got the get out of jail free card in that Heracross sequence. It looks like it isn't going to matter. It looks like Segale is going to win anyway. Fear is going to need an immediate like crit burn or something like that, but even then he can't even burn him because the substitute, which does not pop. I don't see any way out of this whatsoever. This is looking in the bag for Segale. We'll go through the motions here, but I just cannot even envision a scenario, and that will just seal it outright. T-Bolt takes him out. Doesn't matter if T-Tar max roll 8x crits him here. Doesn't even have a chance to attack. Rachi's faster, and he's behind a substitute. No way out of this, and Segale, who may or may not be foggy, is going to get the W and knock out my longtime friend, Fear, from the ADV Revival tournament. And that'll about wrap it up. I really have no clue how this recording went. I really don't want to re-record it because I just watched these games for the very first time right now as I recorded it, and it was authentic. But if I go back and re-record it, it won't be authentic. So hopefully the microphone didn't sound like crap. It took way too long for me in my old age to get this thing up and running because I have no clue what I'm doing. But I figured it out, and hopefully it sounds better. I'm not going to tell you my YouTube channel. I said before, only going to mention it once. Won't mention it again. I have one. You guys cannot know what it is. It's a secret. But do consider supporting the ADV Revival channel, the Revival Tournaments channel, rather. Like I said, like button, subscribe button, and consider donating to this tour if you've been enjoying the content. Hopefully, they will bring me back for more guest narrations, but if not, as always, I appreciate you guys listening. It has been a pleasure. I will see you guys around, whether it is here or on my channel.